Okay, welcome to the channel. Pro Bricky back for Boxing Day at Gosford on the Central Coast, New South Wales, Australia. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you coming in. Many of you from all walks of life and all over the world. We're going to turn to the scriptures, just for those of you that want to learn more from ancient wisdom. Proverbs 27:22. Though you grind a fool like grain with mortar and a pestle, their folly will not depart from them. If we go to the parallel versions, we'll look at some other versions. You cannot separate fools from their foolishness, even though you grind them with mortar and a pestle. Crush a fool in a mortar with a pestle, along with crushed grain, yet their foolishness will not depart from them. Though you grind a fool like grain with mortar and a pestle, yet his folly will not depart from him. Though you pound the fool in a mortar with a pestle, along with crushed grain, his foolishness still will not leave him. Though you pound an ignorant fool in a mortar with a pestle, in the midst of crushed grain, his folly will not turn aside from him. This, viewers, really is what 2024 is going to be about. It's going to be about those who are choosing deliberately not to improve themselves, not to get better. They don't want to get better, they don't want to improve. They're happy with their habits and the way in which life is leading them, whether it be astray or not. They're not going to make the effort to come back to themselves. They've fallen away from themselves and they just want to be ignorant fools, and they will not turn aside from it. Even though you pound a hardened, arrogant fool who rejects wisdom. See, that's what a fool is, someone who rejects wisdom, and they're everywhere. In a mortar with a pestle like grain, their foolishness will not leave them. And one more from the Aramaic Bible in plain English translation. If you strike a fool in the assembly, in front of everybody, you do not help him, neither do you remove his foolishness. Brenton's Septuagint translation, though you scourge a fool, disgracing him in the midst of the council, thou wilt still in no wise remove his folly from him. The contemporary English version, no matter how hard you beat a fool, you can't pound out the foolishness. And one more, the Dawei Rams Bible translation, though thou shalt bray a fool in the mortar, as with the pestle striketh upon sodden barley, his folly would not be taken from him. It's impossible, viewers, to help a fool that is not ready, hasn't been humbled enough to be changed. They don't want to change. You can stand there till you're blue in the face, green in the face, grey. You will not find wisdom or resolve in these people. See, foolishness is always relative to unresolved. That's what unresolved's all about, being a fool. Proverbs 23:25. May your father and mother be glad, and may they who gave you birth rejoice, or she who gave you birth rejoice. I've seen mothers with addicts. I've seen mothers with adults that haven't even got a license. Tell them how proud of them they are and how wonderful they are. And they've really just created little self-deceived narcissists, because the parents has deceived them into thinking that there's something that they've not. I've seen parents grandiose their children so badly that they'll go up to school and chastise the teachers, even though the teachers were trying to help them with their rebellion. Exodus 12:30, beg my pardon. During the night, Pharaoh got up, he and all his officials and all the Egyptians. And there was a loud wailing in Egypt, for there was no house without someone dead. And that someone dead, guess who it was? It was the firstborn. It was the firstborn of the people in those families, the golden child. You see, when we grandiose the children, be it the firstborn or not, that's where all the trouble starts in the next generation, because you have a whole lot of grandiose, self-important, the world owes me something people. And you can't find resolve with these people. That's what happened with Pharaoh. The Lord couldn't find resolve. 9 plagues, and on the 10th he took out the firstborn of every family. And it says, for there was no house without someone dead. Dead in the real sense, physical, full-blown death by a deaf spirit that came. And there's a lot of people that are emotionally dead. They have all the grandizement, they've got all the authority and positions in the world, but they're bringing death on themselves because these ones aren't growing. I'm not saying all, but there's a group out there that just aren't growing. They're emotionally dead. They want to stay in their sin. They want to stay in their self-grandized behavior. When the king of Egypt was told that the people had fled, see, this was when they didn't flee. They were allowed to leave. Pharaoh and his officials changed their minds about them and said, "What have we done?" Even the death of every firstborn in every home only temporarily changed the mind of Pharaoh. But once the initial impact and pain wore off Pharaoh, he was still a fool. He was ground like a fool with the mortar and the pestle. And it still wasn't enough. They lost their firstborn child in every family, not just one family, every family. And it wasn't enough. And they released Israel from serving them. And he changed his mind. He wanted his slaves back. And see, this is unresolved. His slaves were more important than the consequences of having them. And this even went so far as the firstborn in every family dying. You can't change a fool. You can't change a fool. Many of these rehabilitation places are just providing accommodation for people. There are some results that come out of them, but not a lot. In Exodus 15:9 it goes on, the enemy declared, "I will pursue, I will overtake, I will divide the spoils, I will gorge myself on them, and I will draw my sword, my hand will destroy them." It didn't. In the end, the Pharaoh was overcome by the Red Sea. The Israelis crossed the Red Sea. Moses parted the Red Sea. God created a miracle. I mean, these people even face miracles and still don't get it. They still don't get what was going on. And they went into the Red Sea, of which they weren't invited, and the sea drowned all of them. Everyone that had pursued the Israelis who were allowed to go through. Here's another saying, Isaiah 1:5. What do you want? Do you want more beatings? Why do you want more beatings? Why do you keep rebelling? Your head has a massive wound and your whole heart is afflicted. But they kept on going. They couldn't be changed. Jeremiah 5:3. O Lord, do not your eyes look for truth? You have struck them, but they felt no pain. This is what happens to the fool. This is narcissism 101. They just have no self-awareness of what's going on, why the pain's there, how to fix or resolve it. There's no resolve. You finish them off, but they refuse to accept discipline. They refuse to accept wisdom. They have made their faces harder than stone and refuse to repent. This is what happens to the rebels, to what's known commonly as, in one way, the narcissist. This is what the sinful nature does to people. Revelation 10 and 11. And the fifth angel poured out his bowl on the throne of the beast and its kingdom, and was plunged into darkness. And men began to gnaw with their tongues in anguish. We'll turn to it as we finish. In anguish. Hang on, just got to sort this out. 10 and 11. In anguish, and curse God, the God of heaven, for their pains and sores. And this is happening today, isn't it? There is no God. Oh, you're a Christian. This and that. Yet they did not repent of their deeds. They just would not repent. They didn't know what it meant. They didn't know what it meant for life to try to show them the pathway, the wisdom. It was right in front of them the whole time, but they would not depart from their habits, from their addictions, from their foolishness, from the things that were harming them and the people around them. They would not depart from it. This is the beauty of the Bible. It shows you. It tells you. And then in Psalm 26:4, let's say this is a confession. I will not sit with deceitful people, nor keep company with hypocrites. I hate the mob of evildoers and refuse to sit with the wicked. Let's say that together and I'll close. I will not sit with deceitful people, nor keep company with hypocrites. I hate the mob of evildoers and refuse to sit with the wicked. This is Reverend Dr. J.W. Morrison, Gosford, Central Coast, New South Wales, Australia. Thank you for joining me. Bye for now.